Winter Fill Day is this weekend, and I've got a challenge for you.
Stick around and we'll get right to it.
Real quick, before we get going, I've got to give a shout out to these guys. They're my latest patrons over on Patreon. If you'd like to help support the channel, I'll leave a link to Patreon down in the description below.
Hey, welcome back, guys. Jason, KM4ACK. I'm super excited that Winter Fill Day is coming up this weekend. I'm even more excited that I'm actually going to get to participate. If you remember, last year, my day job actually prevented me from being able to participate in Winter Fill Day. Fortunately, that is not the case this year. So we will definitely be out there this weekend playing radio. But I've got a challenge for you guys today. The challenge this year is going to be WinLink related. Again, we're going to be working with position reports. Now, if you're not familiar with position reports, stick around and I'll show you exactly how to file one and how to figure out who else is around you or close by that might have also filed a position report. But the premise is super simple. Somewhere early in the day, I want you guys to all file a position report. In the comment, it's critical that you put ACK WFD challenge. Now, the last piece of information I want you to put out there is whether you have an internet connection at your Winter Fill Day site or not, or basically if you're using it, not if you have it available. One of the things with Winter Fill Day is it's always been focused around emergency communications. So I will be running Winter Fill Day completely off grid, no ties to the internet whatsoever. I will have it available, obviously, on my hotspot with my phone if I wanted to use it, but the plan is not to use the internet at all. So it'll just be kind of interesting to see how many of you have internet that you're using or how many are going completely off grid like I am. Now, after you've posted that position report, wait until later in the late afternoon or early evening time frame, and you're going to pull the report of all of the others in nearby to you that have also filed a position report. Pick one of those off of the list and send them a message, a WinLink message. In addition to that, I also want you guys to CC me on that message where you reach out to another operator. In addition, I am going to pull a list at the end of the day, probably right before, I'm going to say maybe 9 o'clock local time for me. I'm going to pull a position report, and then I'm going to attempt to send an email message to every single person on that list that puts the ACK WFD challenge in their comment section. All right, so now that you know what the challenge is, let's go ahead and jump over to the laptop for those that might not be as familiar with position reports and how to pull the report to see who else is around them that's also filed a position report. Okay, so sending a position report from Pat WinLink is as easy as coming up to this action button right here and coming down to position. Now, for Windows guys, I'm not exactly certain where that is located. If I can find a good video to show you guys how to do it, I will leave a link down in the description to that video. You'll notice it's already pulled in my latitude and longitude based on the GPS that's in my ICOM 705. You could also just as easily use a USB GPS device as well. So, automatically pulls this in. You could manually type it in if you really needed to. Right here, I'm just going to put ACK WFD challenge. And for this particular example, I have internet that I'm going to be using for this video. So we're going to put internet right there. You could put no internet if you're not using it. Once you've got all of your data entered in here, we just want to go ahead and post. That's going to put it right here in our outbox. You can see that position report. And if we open up and take a look at that, you can see the exact format that's being sent into the system. So I'm going to just close that and I'm going to go ahead and make a connection this morning. Now for this connection, we are just going to use Telnet because it's a lot quicker for video. So I'm going to send that out. Now, While we're waiting on that, I'm going to go ahead and open up Pat Menu as well. In Pat Menu, you can come down to the Pat Catalog. Now, I want you to see the easy way to do this, and then I'm going to show you how to manually compose this message as well. In Pat Menu, go to the Pat Catalog section. We want to come right here to Position Reports, and then I want to query all nearby stations. That'll give you the closest 30 stations to you. Or you can do 100 mobile stations, and that'll pull in the closest 100 stations to your particular location. For this instance, we'll just use all nearby stations. I'm just going to choose that here. We're going to leave this blank and click Continue. It's going to tell me it's been posted to my outbox, and indeed you can see that message posted right here. Now, let's get this out of the way. We don't need that anymore, and let's open up this request. All we're doing is we're sending a request to inquiry, INQUIRY. If you send your message to that, the subject line needs to be request, all capital letters, and then in the body of the message, you can simply put WL2K underscore nearby. So you absolutely do not need Pat Menu in order to do this. You could simply compose this message manually. You can also send this same message from a Windows box to get this request. So let's go ahead and send that one out next, and we should get something back telling us that our message has been posted, our position report that we filed, and in fact, you can see that right there. So this has been entered into the system, this position report that we did just a minute ago. Now, we're going to wait 2 or 3 minutes, and then we're going to make another connection and get the report back for all of the others near me that have also filed a position report. All right, let's go ahead and make a connection and see if I waited enough time. And it looks like I did get that report coming back to me. So let's open that up real quick and take a look at it. You'll see right here, my position is the first one on the list because this is sorted by distance. And this is nautical miles from your particular location. So you can see that I am exactly 0.0 nautical miles from myself. And at least I hope that's the case. But then you could go through here and find anybody else that's got this ACK WFD challenge listed in their comment section. Choose someone off of the list, send them a quick message, let them know you're participating in the Field Day Challenge as well, and then CC me on that email. So what's the purpose behind doing this? Well, to start with, it's just a fun little challenge to do on Winter Field Day. But imagine that you were dispersed amongst a group and you assumed going out into the field that you were going to be able to communicate on 2-meter simplex, or maybe it was NVIS using 40 meters. But once you got to the field, that initial plan just wasn't going to work. Well, if everybody filed a position report and used that comment section to tell what other way they were going to try to communicate, you could pull a report of everybody nearby to you, see the others in your team, and see exactly how they were trying to communicate, what method they were using. Maybe voice wasn't going to work out and that was your initial plan, but everybody decides to swap over to JSA call once they're in the field. Well, you could use a position report to let everybody else in your team know that you moved to JSA call for communications. So I hope you'll participate in the Winter Field Day Challenge this year. If you found today's information helpful, be sure to give us a thumbs up before you head off. We will see you guys on the next one. Until then, 7-3.